Anyway, let's move on to PlayStation. That's going to be, I guess, the topic of the week. Our last episode, we did Xbox and talked about how they were facing a lot of troubles. And now, only a couple weeks later, feels like PlayStation's facing a lot of troubles. Obviously, you look, they're not in actual danger, at least not short term or even medium term. They're going to be fine. But it does seem like they got some issues that are starting to mount up. Starting with this PlayStation Showcase, which I think I kind of liked it, and you seem like you liked it a lot, but the kind of overall consensus seemed to be very negative. People seem
I can
pissed.
understand why. I can understand why, but
Me
at the
too.
same time, I am an old man now, and I'm like, okay, well, I got the things that I wanted out of it,
Sure.
and I don't really see any point in getting mad.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before. I don't get mad about any game showcase. Ultimately, you're seeing new video games, and that's fucking like, what's there to complain about? Oh, I lost an hour of my time, but you know how many hours I've wasted? Fucking, what would I be doing anyway? So the anger I don't really get, but I understand people want to see more first party games. That's the number one thing, and people wanted to see they didn't want to see so much CGI. There was a lot of CGI. Not a whole lot of gameplay in this thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And for some people, all the live service games got them mad. Now, I'm not one of those people. I like live service games. I like multiplayer games.
One live service game in particular pissed me off. That's just...
Oh, well, we're going to go down the list because I don't know which one you're talking about, but I guess we'll get to it.
We will. We'll talk about it.
Oh, is it not first party?
It's not first party.
Okay, yeah, then I know which one. Okay. And actually, that's the whole reason I put it on the list, because otherwise probably wouldn't even talk about it. Anyway, but let's get into it. Spider-Man 2 was their closer. It was the most gameplay, and it was the only first-party single-player game. When you talk about like the Sony signature, the Sony bangers and stuff, this was the only one in the showcase. Granted, it's a real big one. Spider-Man's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I liked those Spider-Man games, especially the first one. But like we've talked about before when we talked about Ragnarok and everything, I'm just so burnt out on this stuff that like this gameplay, while there's nothing I could point to and say I didn't like this part, I didn't like this part. It just kind of all like it looked good, but safe. Like I'm just like not excited by it anymore.
Here's the thing: you are also somebody who doesn't like this kind of game.
Yeah. But I also love Marvel and love Spider-Man.
That's true.
That kind of balances things out.
But like, from knowing you for like these past couple years, I know that you do not care for this sort of like cinematic experience.
You're right, and it's getting worse over time. I used to love these games, and it's not that they can never grab me, because like I said, I did like the first Spider-Man, but it just over time I feel it just feels like. The tricks are not even the tricks, but just I feel like I'm seeing the machinery behind it more and more. And I don't know if that's fair or not. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah. It's very much like, I think it's a taste thing, to be honest with you.
You're probably right.
Me, I love this shit. I'm going to play it. So it's what I wanted to see, and I got it, so.
I'm probably still going to play it. Probably.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I love Marvel. And maybe when it comes around, I'll get more excited. I wasn't feeling excited for Tears of the Kingdom that bad until, like, I think it was I think it was the 10-minute gameplay demonstration they did where they showed off Ultra Hand and Fusion for the first time. So, hey, maybe Spider-Man will wow me at some point. But right now, it feels like the different things about it are the symbiote abilities from Peter, and, of course, the ability to switch between back and forth. So I don't know if we can do that at will, or if there's story moments where it's going to switch for us, or maybe it's, hey, in the campaign missions, they're going to switch for us, but when we're in the open world fucking around, we can switch at will. I don't know.
It seems like there's a lot of difference between how they traverse the world, too. Mm-hmm. Like, because they gave Miles the glider suit, and Peter's probably going to have a bunch of, like, symbiote stuff.
Right.
To me, it would make more sense to have you can switch at any time, but
sure,
we'll see.
Yeah, it would be tough. I mean, if it's truly any time, it'd be tough to make campaign missions around that. But yeah, I would definitely hope in the open world. Although, I think everybody can tell right away, we're going to get to a point where Peter, the symbiote suit is, what's the word? Corrupting Peter so much that you're going to have to fight him as Miles. I mean,
Yeah.
We all know that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so maybe they'll take Peter off the board at that point. I mean, who knows what'll happen, but... Yeah, so like I said, I'm still gonna play it, and it is impressive. I'm not trying to say that it's not.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's a good looking video game. It's just like I understand people's like I'm tired of this kind of game because it's like they have made the same game so many times.
Yes, and it's reductive to say that hey, Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon are all the same game with a different skin. That's not true, but there's definitely a similar feeling to all of them.
There's a common thread between all of them.
Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to mention about Spider-Man. I forgot what it was. Oh well, we'll move on then. Metal Gear Solid Triangle?
Delta. It is Delta. I figured that out. But okay, I have to talk about this because it kind of pissed me off. Kotaku was reporting that it was Triangle, like straight up, just calling it Triangle in articles.
You can see, because I did a live reaction to this show, and then I put a TikTok of this clip of me saying, I don't know how to type triangle. Konami.
Yeah. So, I have a little bit to say about this.
Okay.
In that I am on record on this podcast and saying I'm a Kojima fan. At first, I was kind of having hesitancy about this game. I was like, I don't know. It's not...
You don't trust Konami? I don't blame you.
I don't trust Konami, but like there is a sick part of me that's been growing where it's like, what is a Metal Gear game without Kojima?
Sure.
And I'm like, I want to see what that is. So I'm probably still gonna play this just to see it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any harm in being excited about this, especially. I think if it were an original Metal Gear game without Kojima, then maybe like you could hit the panic button. But
yeah.
Hey, yes, this doesn't have Kojima, but it's also a remake. Like
it is.
So they could just if they're just sticking to it, then I don't think they're gonna fuck it up too bad. Then again, we also don't know who the developer is officially.
I think it's Virtuous.
I think so too. Yeah,
I think that's most likely what's going on.
I 100% agree, but they didn't say it. So there's a lot of like I watched the IGN Game Scoop talking about this, and they never even mentioned Virtuous. They had no idea. They were all dumbstruck, and I feel I've seen some people mention they think it's Blue Point, which I don't think it's Blue Point at all. But
it's not Blue Point. There's no way.
Yeah, but the fact that they're not saying it like leads to this speculation, and I think now if they come out and say it's Virtuous, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, I don't know who that is, and that sucks. Which is not really fair, but hey, that's kind of the way it goes.
For sure.
I've never played Snake Eater. The only Metal Gear I got into was 5, which I did love. So I don't know. We'll see. This one was rumored to be timed exclusive to PlayStation. That turned out to be not true. It is on PC and Xbox on same day. There's also, I didn't write it down, but the collection is coming back, or a slightly different collection, I guess.
Yeah, so it's called the Master Collection, and it's titled Volume 1, so everyone's assuming that's going to be like Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5 in the next one.
Sure. Although I did see just earlier today, Jez Corden tweeted out that he heard that 4 is never going to happen because the cell architecture makes it too hard or some shit.
Well, they're a bunch of nerds, so they should do that.
Yeah. Yeah, even as somebody who doesn't really care as much for the series, they should absolutely do that. It's a shame to have a game that people love so much trapped on the PS3.
Yeah, a system that sucks.
Boy, I don't know if there's any first-party controller in history I hate as much as the PS3 controller.
It's awful. It's really bad.
Yeah, I can't stand that thing. Alan Wake 2. You an Alan Wake guy?
I played the first one. I liked it well enough. It's a good game.
I never played it because I'm not into horror, but people sure do love that thing.
They do.
And now this, almost, I don't know how many years, but it feels like 10 years since the last game, the only game. Well, I guess there was American Nightmare, but the only big game. I'm kind of surprised to see it coming back because it does feel like I don't know, it has a cult fan base, a rabid cult fan base, but it does feel like Remedy has moved on to bigger things. But I guess they disagree, and that's good. Like I'm not complaining about that. That's a good thing. That's coming out sooner than I thought it would be. That's October, I believe.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Dragon's Dogma 2, we still don't know when that's coming out, but they did show gameplay for the first time.
It's insane that there's in-engine footage of that game to me.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I can't wait for that game.
That is the guy that did Devil May Cry 5, right?
Yes, this is his other side project that he worked on.
Well, I guess
finally getting a sequel.
I guess it's been quite a long time since DMC 5 now, so maybe it's further. I didn't imagine it was far along, but I guess now in retrospect it makes sense that it is further along than I thought.
Well, he's also working on Final Fantasy 16, so he's kind of pulling double duty here.
So does he work for Capcom or Square?
So no, Square hired him to do the combat for FF16.
Okay, so how's he doing this Capcom game?
I don't know.
All right,
he's that good.
Yeah, that's crazy. Good for him, I guess.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He's having a good year.
So is Capcom. Well, Capcom's having a good couple of years. Boy, people loved RE4. You loved RE4. They got this. Although this won't come out this year, but still, that was a big reveal. They got Exo Primal, which I think might surprise people. I enjoyed the beta.
I think so too, honestly. I think that game will do well.
Especially because it's going to be Game Pass day one. So
yeah, people will play it.
I'm going to play it and I think they've said they're going to. I did not like how every match ended in a PvP segment, which I did not enjoy.
Wait, does it really?
Yeah. But, it did in the beta when I played. Now, I think they said after the beta that one of the biggest pieces of feedback they got is a lot of people, including me, want modes that are just PvE, and I think they said they're going to do that.
Good.
So because I really liked fighting dinosaurs in that game. I did not like fighting other players.
It is pretty sick to see a bunch of velociraptors fall out of the sky, and you got to kill them.
It was that was a real good time. Foam Stars, the highlight of the show.
I fucking hate this game so much. I don't even want to play it. I fucking hate this.
I thought it was cool.
No, it's not. It's so stupid. It looks like Square Enix bought a bunch of anime characters off the Epic Games Store and put them in a Splatoon clone and be like, oh, people will play this.
Boy, it is. When you call it a Splatoon clone, you are underselling it. It is fucking
it's just Splatoon.
Directly Splatoon. It's just crazy how Splatoon it is. But hey, Splatoon's only on one console, and it's not PlayStation. And
that's true.
I guess Foam Stars has only been announced for PlayStation, not even PC, which is surprising to me.
That's really weird.
It'll probably happen, but so far, no announcement.
Yeah, Balan Wonderworld 2, everyone.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be NFTs in this game?
Yes.
Do you actually think that, or are you just mad at the game?
I really believe there will be, actually.
I could see it. I hope not. I feel like they didn't mention it, so I would hope they wouldn't just surprise us later.
I'm surprised there are not FF16 NFTs yet.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Or they just announced today or yesterday a new Dragon Quest spin-off of some kind, too. I don't know what the deal is there. But yeah, that is actually a good point. I'm surprised they're not putting them in their kind of mainline franchises. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not down on this game necessarily. It is 100% just a Splatoon ripoff, though. You are not kidding around.
Absolutely.
But I'm okay with that. Maybe. I don't like Splatoon as much as I would like to like Splatoon, because everything about the style of Splatoon and the music especially, I fucking love. It's just playing it doesn't. I don't know. I never got good at being able to go from swimming in the ink to popping out and shooting people. That whole flow, I never got good at it.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it too.
Yeah. Phantom Blade Zero was an interesting game that looked very impressive. It was one of the highlights of the show. But then we kind of found out afterwards that this is a developer that's really only done mobile games. And this is actually a prequel to a mobile game that they have going in China. So that, can give you some pause. And this is a very, very, very much
it looks
from
cool
Soft.
as hell, though.
It does look cool. But this is very much looks like a from Soft wannabe game in the same way Lies of P and stuff like that.
The action though actually looks awesome. Like straight up, like they're killing it on that front. Like it does look cool.
It does, and if we didn't know that it was a mobile developer, I'd say like I wouldn't have any concerns. I'd just say fucking hey, this game looks awesome, put it on your list. And now I'm like, maybe put it on your list, but keep a skeptical eye.
Be cautious.
Yeah. Hey, I'm hoping for the best on that.
Absolutely, me too.
I would love to see a studio be able to step up their game in that way. But we'll see. Then there was... So I kind of put all the live service games here together. And maybe that's not being totally fair, but there's a talking point here about how Sony's doing... Not even necessarily transitioning, because they're still going to make a lot of single-player games, but they are definitely trying to diversify into live service.
They're trying to, get a lot out there,
Yeah. Which I know a lot of people are freaking out about, and we should probably have that discussion. But I'm, I like, especially, as we just talked about, to my taste, I'm like happy to see them spread their wings in this direction a little bit more.
I think it's a good idea, honestly. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't see anything evil about it being like, hey, we want to try and get into this market too. I mean, like, they're a company. They're going to try and make as much money as possible.
The argument I've seen against it, which I think is dumb, but what I've seen is, hey, if they could put all these people on single player games. Like, well, that's not smart.
It's not. But there's people who don't want to play single player games. This whole podcast is predicated on you not wanting to. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a little extreme, but yeah.
No, but you know what I mean? You would prefer that multiplayer,
co-op, especially.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are people who like that. And it's like...
Absolutely. They're not doing it because live service games are unpopular.
It's true. They're not.
But all that being said, after defending them on this a bit, all these trailers were CG trailers. That's not great. And also, they just didn't tell us much. We learned more from the PlayStation blog, but I'll tell you this right now. I can't tell you much of the difference between Concord and Fair Games. Can you? We know Fair Games is kind of a heist game. That's about it. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, it's just like... And you also don't know what the game really is, too.
Right.
Is the other thing.
Yeah. So the four that I kind of wrote down here, and one of them's a little questionable, but Marathon, which is from Bungie, and it's the return. If you don't know, Marathon is a series they made before Halo, back on the Mac. They made 3 games of that. They're bringing it back, but it's now, it used to be a very campaign-focused game. Now it's an extraction shooter, same way Tarkov is. And extraction shooters, boy, they're hot right now. That's like the new Battle Royale. Everybody seems to be bringing one of those out. They also revealed Fair Games, which is from Haven Studios. That's Jade Raymond's studio. It's going to be her first game in, 15 years or so. Yeah. And that's the one they call a heist game. It's, kind of a cyber, but it's kind of a Watch Dogs 2 setting, it feels like. But it did show... It looked like Payday, but maybe with a 3v3 component on there as well. Concord is from either Firewalk or Fire Sprite. I always get those two mixed up. There was nothing in that trailer that told us anything, but I think kind of in the PlayStation blog afterwards, they just said it's a PvP game. And then Helldivers 2, which we don't technically know if it's live service. The first Helldivers was not, so maybe this one won't be either, but I wouldn't be shocked if it is. In the same way, I had an example and now I lost it, but, like Diablo, it was a multiplayer series before, but now with Diablo 4, they're definitely going live service. With Helldivers 2, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but we don't know.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah. So at least 3 live service, possibly 4, and like I said, I don't have an issue with that. I just feel like, especially with Concord and Fair Games, they didn't do a great job of telling me what the difference is between those two right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And the most important news from the whole showcase, Cade 6 is back, motherfuckers.
Nathan Fillion getting more work somehow. Lord knows he needs it, despite being in the biggest movie of the summer so far.
Yes. I like Cade. You know, I know. And the other thing that's kind of a sad fact of this is obviously I don't know how much they recorded with Lance. What's his last name?
Lance Reddick.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know how much they recorded with Lance Reddick before he passed away. So they might be losing Zavala at some point. So they do need another big character to kind of be in that position. Now, I don't think that's why this happened. I'm sure they planned this way before Lance Reddick's passing.
I mean, that character is so popular. It's kind of crazy that it took this long.
Yeah, it's been 5 years. And I think it was Jeff Gershman said, hey, I expected Cade 6 to be gone for about 6 months. And I kind of did too. And we don't know. He does, like, in this trailer, he has some, like, ethereal, he has, like, weird kind of things coming out of his eyes. Like, we don't know if he's actually alive, or if it's, like, some kind of weird spirit, light thing.
Like, your guardian is also not technically alive either.
Right,
so, like,
sure. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions there, and their showcase is coming... not for a few months, not till August. So we're gonna have to not have answers about that for a while. But hey, K6 is back, motherfuckers. It's gonna be cool to see him meet Crow, who killed him.
For sure.
I'm very excited about that. I have, because of Zelda, I've fallen behind on Destiny, and now Diablo's coming this weekend. So it's gonna be a bit before I come back. But they just launched their new season, which I am gonna have to catch up on. So the biggest complaint about this showcase, I think, was first party. And the first party they did show was all multiplayer games except for Spider-Man. And people don't seem happy about that. And people, a lot of kind of insiders and journalists were surprised. People, like, have come out now. I think Tom Henderson said, hey, I saw some trailers that were not in the showcase that I don't know why they weren't.
Yeah.
So that, do you think they're going to, the last showcase they did, I guess, was 2 years ago, and that year they did do 2 in 1 year. Do you think they might have another one late this year, or are they just? So, what do you think's going on?
This is just me noticing things. A little bit ago, Jeff Keighley put out this graphic that had these are the companies we're going for Summer Games Fest. One of the logos was Sony.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're going to be there, but they could have a little something there.
I expected 3 things from them at Summer Game Fest. Death Stranding, because duh.
Yeah.
I expect a PC port announcement of either Ghost of Tsushima or Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart or Demon Souls. One of those 3 will get a PC. And the other thing I did expect until yesterday was the Last of Us multiplayer thing, which we'll talk about that in a second. Because there's some stuff going on with that, too. But yeah, so is that along the lines of what you're thinking?
Yeah, kind of similar. Clearly that's what they have in the works,
Sure.
Unless there's stuff we don't know about,
But that's the thing, there's gotta be. It does feel like there's some... It's about time to talk about Ghost of Tsushima 2, right? And...
I'm sure it is, but I don't know if they have anything to show other than, hey, we've had conversations about Ghost of Tsushima 2,
I don't know. When was that game?
That was end of 2019, I think.
Oh god, I thought it was further back than that, but you might be right. Oh, actually, I guess 2019 is a long time ago now.
It is a long time
ago.
Oh
shit, that was 2020.
Was it really?
Okay, yeah, okay. I guess that's more recent than I thought it was. Okay, so yeah, you might be right. They might not be as far along on that as I was assuming.
Yeah.
I thought it was 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, I thought it was the end of 2019, but...
Yeah. Still, though, I'm just even if it was just a CG trailer or a logo, it does feel like they had to look at the showcase lineup and have to know, hey, our fan base, still a lot of them want these single-player bangers. We gotta throw them a little bit more of a bone here. Because Spider-Man 2, we knew about. There was no reveals of any of them.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it. And I do think I'm not ready to throw money down on it or anything, but I do think there's a possibility that in November, October, they do another showcase.
Yeah.
Also, another thing they didn't show was Twisted Metal. Which maybe, that changed hands from Lucid to Fire Sprite not too long ago. Yeah. But the show's coming this year, so you'd think they'd want to time that out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they could have another Sony Direct, whatever they call it, State of Play.
State of Play.
Yeah.
That's a fair point, actually. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a showcase. They could do a State of Play. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. But the Last of Us multiplayer thing, let's talk about this. That was the biggest shocker that it was not in the showcase. And then yesterday, we got the bomb dropped on us. First with a tweet from Naughty Dog, basically saying, hey, it's being delayed. Like, oh, okay, that's a little surprising, but all right, whatever, it happens. And then about an hour later, Jason Schreier drops an article, which now, like, oh, that's why they tweeted it. Well, that's why Naughty Dog tweeted it, because they knew this Schreier article was coming. Where essentially it is in real jeopardy. They have scaled back the team a lot, it sounds like, doing it. Yeah. And they're rethinking how the whole thing's going to work. And apparently it's Bungie's fault.
Oh, God.
Sort of. Bungie is apparently, and this is one of the reasons Sony bought them, going through all the live service games that Sony's working on. And what I thought was, hey, they're giving advice and giving help. But apparently they're killing some of these projects. I mean, they don't have the authority to actually axe them, but they can go to Sony and be like, this isn't going to work. And apparently that happened with the Last of Us multiplayer. It also happened with Deviation Games' project. Yeah. Which is a studio Sony doesn't own, but they were doing this game with them. I think that's ex-Call of Duty developers at that studio. And apparently that thing's been either killed or completely stripped back or something. I know they had a lot of layoffs after this. And yeah, and Bungie's apparently going through, like, the French Revolution, going through these studios and putting some of these games in the guillotine.
Yep.
Yeah, what do you make of all this? Especially the Last of Us stuff.
I don't know. I look at that game and I'm like, yeah, that multiplayer was really good. I enjoyed playing it, but I'm like, is Naughty Dog capable of delivering a standalone multiplayer experience? And I think about that, I'm like, I don't know. I really don't.
It depends how they wanted to scale it, I think, right? Like, I kind of feel like, it seemed like, we don't know, but I'm just making some assumptions here, that it got so big that it was supposed to be almost like The Division in the Last of Us world. And yeah, I don't know if Naughty Dog can do that.
I don't know. I don't think they can.
While also doing their other single player projects, because they've got at least one more, maybe two more in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what Bungie said. And apparently the Bungie thing said they were not confident about how they could keep players engaged long term. It wasn't necessarily that, hey, this game plays bad. It was just like, I don't know about their roadmap. And, that's the kind of thing that killed Halo Infinite, right? It's not that Halo Infinite doesn't play bad. It was just the roadmap. And I guess they didn't want to repeat that, which is good. But also, hey, the fact that right now, I think there's a very, very real chance this never comes out. And that's a shame.
For sure.
Yeah, I never got into Last of Us multiplayer, but I know a lot of people who did. So yeah, you look at this Last of Us situation, you look at Deviation Games getting canceled. Excuse me, their game getting canceled. Pixel Opus closed a couple weeks ago. Dreams has been end of support, I guess would be the best way to put it. Now it's going back, I think, to last year. They closed Japan Studios. There's been a lot of concern about Xbox's first party. And like, especially in comparison, like, oh, well, Sony's rock solid. Like, maybe Sony's, like I said, they're not in real trouble, but like, are things a little bit shakier there than maybe we all realized?
I don't know if I agree that it's shaky. I kind of agree more that they're just playing their cards too close to their chest, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, okay, they have Spider-Man. They have the other games Insomniac's working on. They just finished God of War Ragnarok. That's all done.
Yeah. So, yeah, it even feels weird to even suggest it because, yeah, their output's been good. It's not like they're unlike Xbox, it's not like they're not putting out games or not putting out great games.
I think what it is games are just too expensive. They take too long to make, and we're just going to see shorter, not less of them, but more like it's going to be more spaced out.
Yes. Yeah, and actually that is a larger point that maybe at some point we need to get into is like, hey, maybe this isn't a problem that, maybe it's not that Xbox is bad as management. Maybe it's not that Sony's bad as management. Maybe this whole fucking industry is a house of cards right now, at least on the AAA side.
Yeah.
And things are about to come crashing down. I get worried about that sometimes.
I honestly just think AAA games are going to be fewer than they have been the past couple of years.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Like, it's going to slow down considerably.
Yeah. We've let budgets, and I say we, not, whatever, the industry's let budgets get completely
they ballooned
out of control.
A lot.
It's real bad right now. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be worried about. Great. Awesome.
It isn't there.
Yeah, you're not kidding.